Just a super quick one. Awakening is everything. It's not, but it is. But the key is basically to master your energy, raise your vibration, be where your feet are. You can do it all with awareness and breath. Thing is, you can think that you're spiritual because you're conspiratorial or whatever it may be, but there's many different levels to awakening, spirituality, personal development, spiral dynamics is likely useful if you're familiar. But basically, there seems to be two different modes, kind of, in many different other areas, but in this area, there's basically unity versus division, self versus other, kind of. That's not the different modes, but it's like ego is intact or ego is not intact. You are either the small self or you are the big self. Where is the barrier between you and the external world? At what point is it no longer you? Do you choose to beat your heart, grow your hair, lift up your arm? How do you decide to decide? Is the distinction between voluntary and involuntary a imaginary distinction or a thought, therefore recontextualizing the entire sense of self, expanding from a finite ego to the rest of the world? But regardless of deep in that intellectually, basically, yeah, like how it feels is like your awareness can get into such a state of radical awakening where you can like basically just no clip out of reality. That's actually the truth, and I've experienced that on mushrooms mainly, but I've taken quite a bit of time off of psychedelics now for a while, and I've managed to get to psychedelic states while sober a lot easier and via breath work. But not that you have to no clip out of reality, or if that's the goal, but basically your mind is dreaming reality, and when you grasp the radical implications of this, not just armchair philosophy and speculation, is that you actually become directly conscious in real time. Time doesn't exist, it's just the eternal now and the ever shape-shifting body of God in the present moment. You are forever with this one energy, which is infinity, which is love in the highest, biggest picture perspective. Take into a consideration as well, you are the placebo, so believe what you want or don't, or you don't have to believe me on a lot of the stuff that I'm saying. You become directly conscious of absolute truth directly. You don't have to believe like, it's not a belief that you are the universe. You are aware that you must be, and you are. And you can go completely outside of the cognitive realm where you just are, like, being. But yeah, for me, a big shift has changed because I realized basically ego. Like, I saw my ego really well. I've said the story a couple times, but but yeah, some of my videos, the self that I thought I was, or this body, like, I can see myself trying to big myself up by talking in a cool way and thinking that I'm cool. But then that is like this fundamental separation of I'm cool, you're a loser, she's cool, he's cool, I'm cool. And then I can criticize my old videos, but every time I'm criticizing myself from my old videos, that's coming from ego. That's why it can hurt sometimes, like with being cringe. Yeah, I get it now. That's what Conor Murphy talks about a lot, is this cringe is like fundamentally a projection of separateness. Sorry, 2 secs. Turn my fucking internet off, getting that radiation. But yeah, fundamentally, what I'm talking is basically synchronicity. You can go so long without perceiving synchronicity, but it only takes to become present in self-realization that you are lucid dreaming in real time, or that you can progress more towards that by raising your vibration, even though you're already always at the center, 0 point. The definition of 0 point is beyond all definition, but the definition really of 0 point is the kind of the bedrock or the ground to reality, which there isn't really a ground to reality, but it's the 0 point is what is. Turn off your mind, leave the cognitive realm, and just be in the direct physical, so to speak, contact with sense perception. And doing that with breathing plus contemplation. The thing is, yeah, you think that you're meditating and that you're being all good at it. But the thing is, like, it can take years to evolve your consciousness, really. Like, fundamentally. Like, you can meditate, but like, I was meditating over a year ago and I was shit. I was stupid. But these days, I haven't done it for a while, but I can know, because I have a better intellectual framework to work myself up to awakening, because you can use the mind to cancel the mind out. You can like almost logic your way into awakening. You don't have to, but that's a path that I've gone down a lot of, like, because I'm quite heady. I've been described as by Mama Cacao or Deborah Wild Curtis. That I'm quite intellectual, like, but you can almost like you can overthink so much that you eventually just realize enlightenment through the mind, kind of, because you just like, you realize that it's just an infinite paradox. And but yeah, the mind is very limiting, and I've come to much more appreciate the limitless of, like, I don't want to be limited where, like, is the mass awakening going to happen or isn't it? I don't want to limit my consciousness. I want to be like, I want to embody infinity as much as I can, because that's like the highest level of being and truth, is to embody infinity, and to not be as like limited, because everyone just keeps trapping their awareness. Everyone, consciousness in general, people, humans, they trap their awareness in getting concerned with the nitty-gritty details without realizing, be still and know that I am God. The only thing that's real is the love that you are. Be filled with spirit, a mission may all. I don't know what he says. But yeah, basically is the illusion of separateness is a big one. And ego, like, you've heard of ego death for years, you've been meditating for years, but the thing is, like, you might really not get it. You can experience enlightenment and radical awakenings on psychedelics, but that doesn't mean that you've integrated it, and that is a big part that I was missing. And the key is, all of it is awareness. Like, that is the key. Like, you're out here hustling in the external world, running around, and yeah, you're right to do that to an extent, but what I'm telling you is that you can awaken now to the point where you can just dissolve the whole dream. And then when you do that, personal development kind of goes out of the window a bit, because you are literally God dreaming everything with infinite mind. So you can understand the kind of the shift. But yeah, that basically, yeah, is check out Illuminati Congo's album Time Killers. My phone's about to die, so I'll have to wrap this up. But basically, yeah, it's like you can either exist in timelessness, where you're in the eternal now and there's no time, and that's awakening, or a facet of it. And when you're in the timelessness unity of no self and somewhat solipsism, kind of, and you're in the absolute, when you're in that, everything else is seen to be, everything is imaginary, where people who are in time are comprehended differently if you're not in time. So basically, when you awaken to the infinite time loop and radical awakening, what everyone's hung up about on social media and like talking all this shit, like conspiracies and everything to do with division, it becomes like a joke. So everything that isn't unity of God consciousness becomes like a joke. Like duality is delusion, I put on my Facebook. That's not inherently really true exactly, but because it's all ultimately the one light, the pure light going through the prism that separates it into multiple colors. I guess that's duality, but it's ultimately the one light, and that light is in control. So there's no voluntary versus involuntary. It's all the light going through the prism, separating into. Do you understand now? So you're not doing it. He's doing it. And so you can just let go and go with the Tao, because everything will happen in its natural time anyway. Not to be lazy, but you will awaken to what you need to do when the time comes, because everything's unfolding in natural seasons. And like flowers blossom in their own time. But yeah, the thing is, all of this is like, I'm not even saying it, like I'm literally channeling it from the absolute truth. So it's weird, like, so when you awaken, everything else is done. You don't need to do anything else. Just wake up. That's the key. Only increase your vibration. Like, do other things to do personal development, but awakening and raising the frequency is really the main thing, because when you do that, you can literally telekinesis and like you can see aliens and shit. So what, it's all good, like personal development, like Andrew Tate, but you haven't got fuck all Tate, because you actually believe that you are Tate. You're not Tate, you're God, you're dreaming everything. So I don't care how many Lamborghinis you got, you aren't conscious that your mind is constructing reality and there is no other. So you might, what colour's your Bugatti? Fuck off. You actually believe that you're separate, or you're acting that you are separate, and that is the root of suffering. So you can have, like, a man becomes rich in his mind much more before he becomes actually rich, because those who are materially rich are not actually rich, because health, wealth, knowledge of self, if you ain't on that, won't nothing else help. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. If you went on that, you're probably living like savages. But yeah, wake up, everything else is fucking pointless. Raise the frequency to the point where you can literally hallucinate people that aren't even there, and you can, not that I can do that, but basically your entire life is a hallucination, and the more awake you become, the more you can take control of the hallucination, or realize that you was in control the whole time. Basically, everything's an infinite paradox. Time doesn't exist. Everything's imaginary. Everyone's playing games. This whole thing is literally a dream, and you create it as you dig deeper. Reality is top down, not bottom up. Wake the fuck up!